The massive alien ships appeared without warning. Their dark shapes blocked out the stars as they moved into position around Earth. Inside the Earth Defense Force headquarters, Commander Peter Wright stared at the main screen, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his lips. Dozens of ships, each larger than anything humans had ever built, hung in the sky like metal mountains. "Sir, we're getting readings from all sectors," said Catherine Mills, her fingers flying over her console. As chief strategist, she had spent years preparing for first contact, but not like this. Their formation, it's a battle stance, not a diplomatic approach. Peter set down his cup and straightened his uniform. How many? 47 capital ships, sir, and hundreds of smaller vessels taking up attack positions. Catherine's voice remained steady, but her hands trembled slightly. They're surrounding every major military installation on Earth. The main screen flickered, and a face appeared. The alien had gray-blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what looked like armored plates instead of hair. When it spoke, its words came through in perfect English, translated by their advanced technology. "People of Earth, I am General Vexthor of the Zarkax Empire. Your planet has been chosen for integration into our dominion. You have 48 hours to surrender all military assets and pledge allegiance to the Empire. Resistance is..." The alien paused, all 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Discourage." The screen went dark. For a moment, silence filled the command center. Then Peter pressed the button that would connect him to every Earth Defense Force base worldwide. "This is Commander Wright. Initiate Protocol 7. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Around the world, hidden bunkers came to life. Soldiers rushed to their posts, and secret weapons were brought online. Linda Carter, coordinating from the Asian Command Center, sent confirmation signals to every major military installation. Catherine studied the alien fleet's positioning data. Something wasn't right. "Commander, look at their formation gaps. They're leaving spaces that match our known defense capabilities perfectly." Peter leaned over her screen, his eyes narrowing. "They've been watching us." "Yes, sir, but they're only accounting for our official military bases. They don't know about the underground facilities or the civilian defense protocols." A small smile crossed Peter's face. "Then we have our first advantage." The next 47 hours were a blur of activity. While the world's governments publicly debated the alien ultimatum, the Earth Defense Force prepared in secret. Civilian bunkers were activated. Emergency response teams moved into position. And most importantly, humanity's best-kept military secrets were readied for war. Catherine worked through the night, analyzing every piece of data they could gather about the alien ships. Their technology is far advanced, but their tactics are rigid, predictable. They're positioning exactly as their protocol demands, without adapting to terrain or local conditions. Peter nodded, studying the tactical display. "They're used to fighting enemies who think like they do. But we're not like their other conquests, are we?" "No, sir," Catherine replied, pulling up a simulation. "They expect us to either surrender or defend our obvious military installations. They're not prepared for how humans really fight." In the final hour before the ultimatum expired, Peter called a meeting of all Earth Defense Force commanders via secure channel. Their faces appeared on screens around his office, each showing the same determined expression. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "in 1 hour, we faced the greatest challenge in human history. The enemy expects us to follow their rules of engagement, to fight the way they fight." He paused, looking at each face in turn. "We're not going to do that. We're going to show them something they've never seen before. We're going to show them how humans fight when everything is on the line." The commanders nodded. They all knew their parts in what was to come. As the final minutes ticked away, Peter stood at the main window of the command center, looking up at the alien ships through the armored glass. Behind him, Catherine's voice counted down the seconds. "They're scanning for our response, sir." Peter squared his shoulders. Then let's give them one they'll never forget. The Zarkak's attack began exactly as their ultimatum expired. Green beams of energy rained down from their ships, targeting Earth's known military bases. General Vexthor watched from the bridge of his flagship, Eternal Dominion, expecting the usual quick victory. Instead, his sensors showed something strange. "Report," he demanded, all four eyes fixed on the tactical display. "Sir, most of the human bases appear empty," his second-in-command said. "We're hitting vacant buildings." On Earth's surface, the real action was happening far from the aliens' targets. Linda Carter coordinated from a hidden bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. "All units, execute Plan Delta," she ordered through secure channels. "Remember your training. Stay mobile. Strike fast. Disappear faster." Small teams of soldiers emerged from hidden entrances across the globe. They didn't march in formation or gather in large groups. Instead, they moved in teams of 3 or 4, using the chaos of the alien attack as cover. In orbit, General Vexthor grew increasingly frustrated. Where are their defense forces? Where is their army? His answer came in the form of dozens of small explosions across his fleet. Human stealth shuttles, barely larger than fighter craft, had slipped through the gaps in the Zarkak's formation. They attached magnetic mines to the alien ship's hulls before disappearing into the darkness of space. "Impossible," Vexthor muttered. "Their technology isn't advanced enough for this." But the humans weren't relying on advanced technology. They were using simple tools in clever ways. Major Stephen Cole led one of these teams, guiding their shuttle between 2 massive alien ships. "Plant the charges," he whispered to his team. "Just like we practiced. Make them count." The explosions weren't powerful enough to destroy the Zarkak ships, but they damaged sensors and weapon systems. More importantly, they created confusion. The alien fleet had never faced an enemy that attacked like this, targeting weak points instead of engaging in direct combat. In her command center, Catherine Nils watched the alien fleet's response. "They're falling for it," she told Commander Wright. "They're clustering their ships for protection, exactly as we hoped." Peter nodded, studying the tactical display. "Begin Phase 2. Across Earth, more surprises awaited the invaders. When Zarkak's ground forces landed to secure their targets, they found themselves fighting shadows. Human soldiers appeared from nowhere, struck hard, and vanished before the aliens could respond. "This is not proper combat," General Vexthor shouted as reports flooded in. His troops were trained for formal battlefield engagement, not this constant harassment from an enemy that refused to stand and fight. Linda Carter's voice crackled through encrypted channels to all Earth forces. "Keep moving. Don't give them a fixed target. Every team, switch to your next position." The alien soldiers, confused by human tactics, began making mistakes. They clustered together for protection, making themselves easier targets. They fired at shadows and movements, wasting ammunition and energy. Stephen Cole's team captured an alien shuttle during the chaos. "Command, we've secured Zarkak's technology," he reported. "Beginning analysis now." This was another part of the human strategy. Learn, adapt, and use the enemy's weapons against them. Within hours, Earth forces began using captured alien equipment, adding to the invaders' confusion. On the Eternal Dominion, General Vexthor started recording his observations. "The humans. They fight like nothing we've ever seen. No formation. No fixed positions. They strike from nowhere, using our own tactics against us." This was supposed to be a standard conquest. Instead, he paused, watching another explosion bloom against a nearby ship's hull. "Instead, we find ourselves facing an enemy that refuses to follow any rules of warfare we know." As the first day of battle ended, the mighty Zarkak's fleet found itself in an unfamiliar position. On the defensive, their standard conquest protocols were failing against an enemy that simply wouldn't fight the way they were supposed to. In the Rocky Mountain bunker, Linda Carter allowed herself a small smile as she coordinated the next wave of attacks. Let's show them what else humans can do. Major Stephen Cole stood in the captured alien shuttle, studying its controls. His team had spent hours figuring out how the Zarkak's technology worked. Now came the fun part. All teams, this is Cole. He spoke into his radio. The alien ships respond to touch commands. The symbols are different, but the basic ideas are the same. They built these things to be simple to use. Elizabeth Morgan, the tech expert on his team, grinned as she pressed a series of symbols. The shuttle's engines hummed to life. It's like they never thought anyone would steal their ships, she said. There's no real security. Across Earth, other human teams were making the same discovery. The Zarkaks, so sure of their superiority, had never needed to protect their technology from theft. Now that mistake was costing them dearly. In his flagship, General Vexthor watched in horror as his own ships began attacking each other. How is this possible? He demanded. Those are our vessels. His sensor officer looked up in confusion. Sir, they're our ships, but humans are flying them. They've stolen our shuttles and fighters. Vexthor slammed his fist on his command chair. Disable all captured vessels immediately. We can't, sir, the officer replied. The humans have already changed the control codes. They're using our own security protocols against us. On Earth, Catherine Mills coordinated the captured ships from her command center. Keep them guessing, she ordered. Don't let them predict where we'll strike next. The humans had learned quickly. They didn't just copy Zarkak's tactics. They improved them. Where alien pilots flew in strict formations, humans weaved and dodged unpredictably. Where Zarkak soldiers marched in lines, humans struck from unexpected angles. Linda Carter's voice came through the command channel. We've got reports of alien troops getting sick trying to chase our pilots. They're not used to this kind of flying. Commander Peter Wright allowed himself a small laugh. Keep pushing them. Show them what human creativity can do. The Zarkaks had never seen anything like it. Their military doctrine, developed over centuries of successful conquests, had no answer for an enemy that refused to follow the rules. Humans turned ventilation shafts into attack routes. They used service tunnels to appear behind enemy lines. They even tricked alien ships into firing on their own troops. General Vexthor began recording a new report for his superiors. The humans are extraordinary, he admitted. They don't fight like a proper military force. Every soldier seems to think independently, adapting to situations without waiting for orders. They're using our own weapons and ships in ways we never considered. In the stolen shuttle, Stephen Cole led another raid on the alien fleet. His team had painted their captured vessel with Earth colors, adding to the enemy's confusion. Remember, he told his pilots, they expect us to fly like them. So do the opposite. The human pilots spun and rolled their stolen ships in ways that made the Zarkak's crews dizzy just watching. They used the alien vessel's own safety features to prevent return fire, knowing the Zarkak ships wouldn't shoot if they thought they might hit their own craft. Elizabeth Morgan discovered something else about the alien technology. Their systems are all connected, she reported. They never thought they'd need to protect against insider attacks. We can use that. She began feeding false data into the alien network. Suddenly, Zarkak's commanders couldn't trust their own sensors. Their battlefield computers showed enemies where there were none, and missed the real attacks until it was too late. As the third day of battle ended, General Vexthor watched another human raid slip past his defenses. In all my years of conquest, he recorded in his personal log, I have never seen anything like this. The humans, they don't just fight. They innovate. They adapt. They use our own strength against us. And most worrying of all, they seem to be enjoying it. Elizabeth Morgan hadn't slept in 2 days, but she couldn't stop smiling. Her computer screen showed lines of alien code that were starting to make sense. Commander Wright, she called out, I found something big in their communication system. Peter Wright hurried to her station, Catherine Mills right behind him. What did you find? The Zarkax use a single network for everything, Elizabeth explained. Ships, weapons, communications. It's all connected. And I just found the back door. In orbit, General Vexthor was getting more bad news. Sir, we're losing control of more systems, an officer reported. The humans are in our network somehow. They're not just stealing our signals. They're changing them. Elizabeth's discovery changed everything. Human hackers began slipping false orders into the alien chain of command. Zarkax ships received commands to retreat from battles they were winning. Supply ships delivered to empty space, weapons powered down at critical moments. This is impossible, Vexthor muttered, watching another battle group fall into chaos. How can they understand our system so quickly? The answer was simple. Humans had been preparing for this moment their whole lives. Years of science fiction movies, books, and games had taught them to think about alien technology in creative ways. Where the Zarkax saw their systems as perfect and unchangeable, humans saw possibilities. Linda Carter used this confusion to launch a bold new strategy. All units, execute Operation Papercut, she ordered. Instead of attacking the alien warships, human forces began targeting supply lines, maintenance bays, and communication relays. They're not fighting the way they're supposed to. A Zarkax commander complained to General Vexthor. They're supposed to attack our weapons, our strong points. Instead, they're hitting things that barely matter. But they did matter. Without supplies, the mighty alien ships began running low on fuel and ammunition. Without maintenance, small problems grew into big ones. Without clear communications, the Zarkax fleet's careful coordination fell apart. Stephen Cole led a raid that captured an alien repair station. His team didn't destroy it. They reprogrammed it. Now when damaged Zarkax ships docked for repairs, the station secretly installed human-made changes to their systems. They're still thinking like conquerors, Catherine Mills told Commander Wright as they watched the alien fleet's strength fade. They expect us to think like a conquered people, but humans have never been good at doing what we're told. Peter nodded, studying the tactical display. The mighty Zarkax fleet was split into confused groups, each dealing with different problems. Some ships had lost power. Others were chasing sensor ghosts created by Elizabeth's team. Many were just sitting still, their crews too confused to risk making things worse. General Vexthor started a new report to his superiors, then deleted it. How could he explain that his mighty fleet was being defeated not by superior technology or numbers, but by human creativity? How could he admit that every solution he tried was turned into a new problem by these endlessly adaptive humans? Sir, his tactical officer called out, the humans are broadcasting something to our entire fleet. On every Zarkax screen, a simple message appeared. Like a death by 1,000 cuts, every small wound adds up. Would you like to discuss terms? Elizabeth's team had broken their language codes too. The message appeared in perfect Zarkax script, followed by diagrams showing exactly how many systems the humans had compromised. Vexthor stared at his own ship's diagnostic screen. Hundreds of small changes had been made to his systems, each one too minor to notice alone. Together, they gave the humans control of nearly everything. Perhaps, the general said slowly, it's time to reconsider our approach to this species. Richard Parker stood in front of a wall of screens, watching his plan unfold. As head of psychological operations, he had spent days preparing for this moment. Send the next broadcast, he ordered. Across the Zarkax fleet, screens lit up with images of their own defeated ships. Each video showed human victories, carefully edited to emphasize the aliens' helplessness against Earth's unconventional tactics. Sir, the humans are broadcasting our failures to the entire fleet, a Zarkax officer reported to General Vexthor. Morale is dropping among the crews. Vexthor watched the broadcasts with all four eyes. He saw human soldiers celebrating as they captured alien technology. He watched Earth pilots performing impossible maneuvers in stolen ships. Most disturbing of all, He saw his own troops retreating from battles they should have won. They're not just fighting our bodies, he realized. They're fighting our minds. In her command center, Catherine Mills tracked the alien fleet's reactions. It's working, she told Commander Wright. Their ships are becoming more hesitant. They're second-guessing every move. Peter smiled. Richard's plan is perfect. Show them enough of our victories, and they'll start expecting to lose. The psychological warfare didn't stop with videos. Elizabeth Morgan had found a way to send messages directly to individual alien soldiers' communication devices. Each Zarkax warrior began receiving personal accounts of human victories, carefully translated into their language. Remember, Richard told his team, we're not trying to scare them. We're showing them that resistance is pointless. Every message should make them question their choices. The effect on the alien forces was devastating. Trained to expect easy victories against primitive species, they instead found themselves watching their mighty empire fail again and again. Linda Carter's forces took advantage of the aliens' dropping morale. All units, press the advantage, she ordered. They're off balance. Keep them that way. Stephen Cole led a particularly bold raid, flying a captured ship right into the heart of the alien fleet. His team broadcasted their entire mission, showing how easily humans could move through the Zarkax defenses. This is impossible, an alien commander complained to General Vexthor. How can they be everywhere at once? How can they know our systems so well? The truth was simple. Humans had turned the aliens' own surveillance against them. Every camera, every sensor, every communication device in the Zarkax fleet now fed information back to Earth's command centers. In his private quarters, General Vexthor watched another human broadcast. This one showed Earth children playing with captured alien technology, easily figuring out systems that had taken his species generations to develop. They learn too fast, he wrote in his personal log. They adapt too quickly. Every victory we achieve becomes a tool for them to use against us. Every tactic we try is turned around and improved upon. Richard's team launched their final psychological attack. They began broadcasting scenes of Earth's culture, art, and daily life to the alien fleet. They showed humans helping each other, celebrating together, and facing challenges with determination. Let them see who they're really fighting, Richard explained to Commander Wright. Not just soldiers, but an entire species that refuses to give up. The effect on the alien forces was profound. Many had never seen a species fight so hard to protect their way of life. Some began to question why they were trying to conquer Earth at all. General Vexthor watched his mighty fleet fall into confusion and doubt. His warriors, trained to expect quick victory, instead found themselves questioning everything they had been taught about warfare. Perhaps, he said to his command staff, we should consider something unprecedented in our history. He paused, all four eyes blinking in sequence. Perhaps we should try to understand these humans instead of conquering them. The message from the Zarkax High Command arrived during Earth's night cycle. General Vexthor read it 3 times, hardly believing his eyes. They wanted his complete analysis of human combat capabilities. The Empire was actually considering a change in strategy. Meanwhile, Susan Harris prepared for humanity's biggest counterattack yet. As coordinator of Earth's combined forces, she had spent days planning this moment. All units in position, she reported to Commander Wright. We're ready to show them our full strength. Peter Wright nodded, looking at the tactical display. Send the signal. Let's end this. Across the globe, human forces launched a coordinated assault unlike anything the Zarkax had seen before. Captured alien ships, modified with human improvements, struck from every direction. Ground teams appeared from hidden bases the aliens hadn't detected. Even civilian vessels, secretly armed, joined the attack. What is happening? A Zarkax commander screamed as his ship's systems failed. How are there so many of them? The truth shocked the alien forces. Humans hadn't been fighting at full strength before. They had been holding back, learning, adapting, and preparing for this moment. Elizabeth Morgan's tech team had completely mapped the alien network. Initiating system override, she announced. Across the Zarkax fleet, ships began losing power. Weapons went offline. Communication systems filled with static. Sir, an officer reported to General Vexthor, we're detecting human influence in every system. They've been inside our network for days, just waiting to strike. Stephen Cole led the attack on the alien flagship. His team, now expert pilots of stolen Zarkax vessels, flew patterns that made the alien gunners dizzy. Remember, he told his pilots, fly like humans, not like them. Be unpredictable. Linda Carter coordinated the ground assault. Human forces emerged from underground bases, secret mountain bunkers, and underwater facilities. The aliens had focused their attention on obvious military targets, never realizing that humanity's real strength lay hidden. In his command center, General Vexthor watched his mighty fleet fall into chaos. Ships crashed into each other, unable to coordinate. Ground forces found themselves surrounded by enemies they couldn't detect. Even their most advanced weapons proved useless against human tactics. Send the message, he ordered his communication officer. Tell High Command. Tell them we need to rethink everything we know about warfare. Catherine Mills noticed the alien transmission. Sir, she called to Commander Wright, they're sending a long-range message to their homeworld. Should we block it? Peter studied the message content on his screen and smiled. No, let them tell their leaders exactly what happened here. Let them explain how humans fight. The counterattack lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the mighty Zarkax invasion fleet hung helpless in Earth's orbit. Their weapons were offline, their systems compromised, and their crews stunned by the completeness of their defeat. Susan Harris delivered the final report to Earth's Combined Command. All alien vessels contained. Ground forces have surrendered. We have total control of their network. She paused, allowing herself a small smile. We won. In his private quarters, General Vexthor finished his report to the High Command. He described human ingenuity, their ability to adapt, and their mysterious way of turning weakness into strength. But most importantly, he wrote about their unique approach to warfare. They never fought us the way we expected, he wrote. They never tried to match our strength with strength. Instead, they studied us, learned our weaknesses, and struck in ways we couldn't predict or counter. The humans have shown us something we've never seen before, a species that turns the art of war itself into something new. The general looked out his window at Earth, hanging blue and peaceful in space. Perhaps, he added to his report, it's time for the Empire to learn some new ways of thinking. The peace talks began in a most unusual way. General Vexthor requested to meet Earth's leaders not in a formal chamber, but in a simple conference room at the Earth Defense Force headquarters. He wanted to see where humans planned their remarkable strategies. Daniel Walsh, Earth's chief negotiator, sat across from the alien general. Commander Peter Wright and Catherine Mills flanked him, while Linda Carter and Susan Harris joined through secure video links. Before we begin, Vexthor said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, I must ask, how did you do it? How did your species fight so differently from every other race we've encountered? Daniel smiled. Perhaps it would be better if we showed you. He nodded to Elizabeth Morgan, who started playing videos on the room's screens. The aliens watched in fascination as the screen showed Earth's history. They saw ancient humans using simple tools to hunt much larger animals. They watched medieval armies winning battles against superior forces through clever tactics. They witnessed modern soldiers adapting to endless changes in warfare. You see, Daniel explained, humans have always been underdogs. We've always had to think differently to survive. It's not just our military doctrine. It's who we are. Stephen Cole, now promoted for his successful raids, added, we don't fight like you because we never had the luxury of overwhelming force. We had to be creative. We had to adapt. General Vexthor's staff studied the historical footage with intense interest. They saw how human warfare constantly evolved, never staying the same for long. They watched as each new technology led to new tactics, new ways of thinking. "The High Command has reviewed my reports," Vex Thor announced. "For the first time in our history, we are considering a complete change in our approach to galactic relations." Richard Parker, who had helped break the aliens' fighting spirit, smiled from his seat. "Sometimes the best way to win a war is to make your enemy see you as you really are." The general nodded. "We saw your broadcasts, not just your victories, but your culture, your art, your way of life. You fought not just with weapons, but with ideas." The negotiations progressed quickly. The Zarkax Empire, impressed by human ingenuity, offered not just peace but partnership. They wanted to learn this new way of thinking, this human approach to problems. "Your species has shown us something remarkable," Vex Thor explained. "You've shown us that strength isn't just about power. It's about adaptation, creativity, and the willingness to try new approaches." Commander Wright looked around the room at his team. Catherine Mills, who had first spotted the patterns in alien tactics. Linda Carter, who had coordinated the hidden resistance. Susan Harris, who had planned the final counterattack. Elizabeth Morgan, who had turned alien technology against itself. Stephen Cole, who had shown them how to fly like humans. Richard Parker, who had helped them understand their enemy. Daniel Walsh, who was now building peace. "We never wanted war," Peter said to the general. "But we were ready to defend ourselves in ways you never expected." General Vex Thor stood, his tall frame casting a shadow across the conference table. "In all my years of service," he announced, "I have never seen a species fight like humans. You turned our strength against us. You adapted faster than we could react. You thought in ways we had never considered." He paused, looking at each human in turn. "And in doing so, you have taught us the greatest lesson our empire has ever learned." The peace treaty was signed that day. As news spread across Earth, people celebrated not just their victory, but the dawn of a new era. Humanity had proved itself on the galactic stage, not through overwhelming force, but through their unique way of thinking, fighting, and solving problems. In his final report to the High Command, General Vex Thor wrote words that would be remembered for generations. "The humans fight like nothing we have ever seen, and because of that, they have given us something we never expected, a chance to become better than we are."